The difference in price between one cheap conventional egg and one organic pasture-raised egg can be night and day. In Germany you can easily pay double the price for an organic egg. In the US it's probably even more than that. But is it actually worth it? How important is it really? What nutrients are different? And how different is quality, taste and other factors? That's what I wanted to find out. So I did a lot of research and now want to share everything I found in this video. Also specifically because I did not expect those results. But let me explain. Now you have to understand. For centuries, chickens lived and were raised outdoors. Only recently, in the last 75 years, they moved indoors. Morally speaking, that's of course not good. They will definitely have a better quality of life outdoors, and I wish all chickens would live outdoors and that they would be raised organically. Because can that be good for a chicken suddenly spending all their life indoors in a barn or stable or even a cage, not seeing sunlight, barely moving around, having no space for themselves, not eating worms and insects, and probably not even just breathing fresh air? Although I don't know how important that is to them, you can probably agree that this is not particularly a good development. The life quality of those chickens definitely suffers. And the quality of the eggs they lay probably suffers too. But the question is, how much? And also, is it worth to pay the extra price? Maybe let's talk about the moral aspect later again and look at the actual difference, also nutritionally, between cheap and expensive eggs. And for that, let's start with the cheapest eggs. Simply put, the cheapest eggs will be the shittiest.
Oh shit.
It's inevitable and there is no way around that. But how much better are those expensive versions? When we look at the conventional cheap eggs, they seem to be still surprisingly quite decent. They have a lot of vitamin A, choline and plenty of other nutrients. Eggs generally have all vitamins except vitamin C, all essential minerals, all essential amino acids in their protein and even more micronutrients.
That's why he's the GOAT!
And conventional eggs, the cheap eggs, they have that too. And how much more or less micronutrients those eggs have compared to organic pasture-raised eggs is something we're gonna talk about in a minute. But for now you have to understand that those cheap conventional eggs still contain plenty of nutrients. And that egg is still an egg. But like I said, more about the small details a little bit later. Because maybe you're asking yourself, okay, what about cage-free? That should be better, right? It definitely costs a bit more and it sounds much better too. Now the unfortunate thing about cage-free is that that doesn't really mean a lot, if anything at all.
Here we go again.
The chickens are still cramped together, and when you look at the lifestyle, it's not really better. The diet also usually is the same than for the cheapest conventional eggs. And even if they have brown shells, which many people still believe are the better eggs, that still might not mean anything. It's just a different breed of bird. And brown eggs don't mean better nutrition. That's something you definitely should take away from this video. But free range? What about free range? Free range is better, right? I mean, they can go outside. Well, free range means that they have access to an outdoor area, which of course sounds good, but these chickens are still cramped together and most won't even ever go outside. Often what we have with free-range eggs, it's just a small window to a very tiny outdoor area. And of course that doesn't really mean a lot. Simply having access to the outdoor area but never going outside doesn't really improve the life of the chickens, right? Often these chickens just don't even go outside. First of all, because the window in the outdoor area can be very small, but maybe also just because it seems riskier or because they are just not used to it. They don't know outside and usually they are raised in the cage or stable or barn or however you call it. So to summarize it, those free-range eggs sometimes, probably often, maybe almost always, are not even better than the regular conventional eggs. And also, even if the yolk seems more yellow, that also doesn't have to mean anything, because often they will just add stuff to the diet of the chickens that makes the yolk more yellow, more dark, but it's not really an actual improvement in their diet and also not in the quality of the egg. So another takeaway is that also the yolk color doesn't necessarily have to mean anything. They can manipulate that nowadays. To me, of course, those rich yellow yolks definitely seem to look better or healthier, but who knows? Again, it doesn't mean anything, or it definitely doesn't have to mean anything. So when it comes to the lifestyle of the chickens, you maybe should look for pasture-raised eggs. Those will also be the eggs that are usually the most expensive. With pasture-raised eggs, those chickens actually have an outdoor area, and hopefully they also go there. Still not guaranteed, but it's definitely more likely than those free-range chickens. And then when they spend time outside, outdoors, they might actually eat some worms and insects.
Nice.
And that is actually the preferred diet of a chicken. It's better than just leafy greens, soy, seeds and grains. And the egg quality, because of that, will improve as well. And besides that, of course, when we look at it morally, it's also just much better. I don't know about you, but I want my chickens to be outside, to eat worms and to see the sun. But here again, probably one of the biggest factors about the quality of the eggs and the nutrients in the eggs will be the diet. And that's where we talk about organic eggs. Organic just means the chickens get organic food. And that of course is best in combination with pasture-raised. They get organic food and they also go outside.
Let's go.
And what research has found is that those organic eggs usually have more omega-3, although the exact numbers can definitely vary and are a bit unsure. And one study showed that the organic eggs have 25% more vitamin E, that's good. More vitamin D, of course, because they're out and they get sunlight. But also, I don't want to lie to you, there is another report that says there's almost no difference in nutritional value. And this kind of surprised me. I thought the nutritional value will be much better for the pasture-raised organic chickens or eggs compared to the cheap conventional factory eggs. And maybe that might be true, but it really depends on the eggs, the specific eggs, the farms, what specific farms they are looking at, and of course probably other factors as well. Conventional, free-range, organic, pasteurized, those are just labels or categories. One organic egg might be much better than another organic egg. And when we look at all this, more studies need to be done. More studies are needed to evaluate if the nutritional difference between the cheap and the expensive eggs is really that much different. And then how different it is. So far, when I looked at those studies and reports, the nutritional exact difference definitely will vary, but generally still seems kind of unclear. And even when there is a nutritional difference, it doesn't really seem too big. But what about toxicity? That's what you may think about. And I asked myself this as well. And surely the organic eggs won't have the bad things you will find in cheap conventional eggs. Or at least definitely way less. Like metals, pesticides, GMOs, hormones and all the other things. But also this still needs to be researched more. If you have a chicken farm, please do some studies for humanity. But we also need to look at it morally and ethically, in my opinion. I eat eggs and also meat. But if you ever looked at the life value or quality of those animals, you too know that that quality isn't very good, especially for the cheap and caged animals. I believe if you can afford it, definitely get the pasture-raised and organic eggs. They will never be nutritionally worse, I'm pretty sure about that. And of course, morally and ethically, it's also much better to get those kind of eggs. Or even better, maybe just raise your own chickens and get your own eggs in your garden, in your backyard. Apparently, it's not even that difficult and time and space consuming. If I had a garden that is mine, I would definitely raise some chickens and get myself some good quality eggs. And one day chicken meat as well. Unfortunately, I don't have that. But what you can also do is buy those eggs from a local farm that you know. Maybe you know someone who works at a farm where you know what these chickens get fed. Or maybe you know a farm close by and you can see what they give those chickens. Or you just trust the owner or whatever. Usually those small local farms are much better. I mean, look at how those factory chickens are living. That's not nice and not healthy. I mean, you have to agree. But at the same time, if you're really on a tight budget and you just can't afford the higher quality eggs right now, I think you can probably still get those cheap conventional eggs, at least for some time. They will definitely not be as good as the pasture-raised organic eggs, but eggs in general are still a great food with extremely good nutrition. Maybe use that nutrition to feed yourself, get into the peak performance and make some money and level up. And then when you make more money, you can start upgrading your diet, which also includes getting higher quality meat and eggs. And that's also what I'm doing. Personally, I rarely get the cheap conventional eggs, and also same goes for meat. But right now I need to save a bit of money.
You're broke!
And especially when we look at eggs, I don't really fear missing a lot of nutrition when I'm going for those conventional eggs. But if I eat the egg raw, I still always 100% go for the organic pasture-raised eggs, because honestly they just look better. It's probably just a mental thing, but if I crack open the conventional eggs, I don't really want to have them raw. I don't know. So to summarize it, pasture-raised organic eggs are definitely the best eggs. They are better than cheap conventional eggs, especially morally and ethically speaking. They might be a bit better nutrition-wise, but probably not even that much, which surprised me. But they also will have less toxins and things you don't want in your eggs. Yet, if you are broke and really can't afford the expensive eggs, then just know that eggs are still great. In my opinion, they are even overpowered for many different reasons, and especially for men. Why? Because they help testosterone production and muscle building. But I already made plenty videos about eggs. And if you want to learn more, watch this video. Or if you just want to be more energetic in general, check out this one. And if this video was any helpful, I would really appreciate a like. But of course, that's up to you. With that being said, stay excellent, have a great day, and bye.